Welcome. The Blair Witch Project was released in 1997 and was directed by Myrick and Eduardo Sánchez. And it's about three filmmakers who are going to find out about the legend of the Blair Witch. So if you guys watch the Three Strangers podcast, which if you don't, you should, link to it in the description. Watch us on Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor. We're sponsored by Anchor, so watch us. We come out with funny content. Nick is hilarious. Bill is hilarious. You'll find out that there's a spectrum on this podcast. So Nick, over here, he really likes this movie. He thinks it is fantastic. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it's okay. There's a lot of parts of the movie I don't like. And then there's Bill. And he does not like the Blair Witch Project. He despises it. So I think I'm going to get them to record a little bit for their part so they could kind of explain their side. But let me explain my middle ground first before you start to get both sides of the spectrum. And you could kind of decide for yourself, if you have watched it, who you agree with the most. And if you haven't, you could watch it and then come back. So I think we're going to go into a little bit of spoilers. So if you are going to watch it, I do recommend you watch it now. And I'd say I recommend the movie. I'd recommend the movie. I can't say the same for Bill, but if you're gonna watch it now. Alright, you're done watching it, so here we go. Pros and cons about this movie. So for those of you who don't know, there's a big legend with this movie, and basically when it came out, the three main characters were said that they were missing or dead. I forget which one exactly, but it was either one of those. And they say in the movie that this is based on a true story, and people thought that this was real, that this really happened. And for like 2 weeks, everybody was freaking out, and it got to the point where the actors and actresses had to come out and be like, hey, we're actually alive, it's just a movie, hello. That's something that I think is so cool, and unfortunately is so impossible to do nowadays. I feel like if any company were to be able to do it, it would be Marvel, but so many things still gets leaked by Marvel that it's probably impossible for that to ever happen again in cinema. Alright, so actual pros and cons. I just wanted to share that fun fact because I think it's cool. But, okay. Pros. The isolation theme of this movie. Very good. It kind of, as I was saying with As Above, So Below, what it should have done, this movie does it. Unfortunately, they do it boring, which I'm already going to a con with it. This movie is very boring, but I do respect it for trying to stay with that isolation theme. The other characters start to get on each other's nerves. One of the characters, something happens that I won't say, and characters start to get on each other's nerves until there's a final sequence that I think is so iconic that everybody knows. And I love it. I really like the last 10 minutes of this movie. I think it's very good. And I think it's, I wouldn't say there, probably somewhere. I think the most iconic shot, which is what I'm going to be making fun of in the thumbnail, that is the best part of the movie, because it's definitely the best acted. Our main character, I think her name is it Heather? Yeah, it is Heather. I just had to check. I don't know why I had a little brain fart. In my book, I wrote Heat. I don't know why I did that. I just didn't continue the rest of the name. But yeah, Heather, definitely the best actor / actress in the movie. She's great. Mike and Josh are alright. They're just It's not a very well acted movie. And I think you kind of get that in indie films some of the time. But you can look past it. In this one, it gets hard to look past it when a lot of the movie deals with these three characters and the isolation, how they're starting to not trust each other. You need good actors and actresses, and unfortunately we don't really get that, but Heather is the best of the bunch. In terms of cons, like I've been saying, I think it's very boring. I don't think it's the best acting, but also that's the blame for there being no actual script. It was more like a 35-page plot and storyboard, and the actors got to just improv the whole time. That's not very good in this movie, unfortunately. When you look at other films like Be My Cat, A Film for Anne, where the improv is fantastic, you go back to this movie and think, not the best. So I'm gonna let you guys hear what Nick has to say about this movie. So Nick, take it away.
The Blair Witch Project did something that no film had done before, nor any film can do again, and that was with advertising. They created this huge, arguably national mystery that brought so many people to the film because they thought it was true, and those people who went to go see it in the theaters when it originally came out, I think, experienced the Blair Witch at its true, genuine form. And it just seems that that genuineness didn't last, and because people found out it was a movie and that it was all faked, and it kind of lost its validity there. While there were ethical concerns about how the director created the acting with the three actors in the film in the woods, I think despite that, they created great acting performances. I know there are people who disagree with me there. Perhaps Ryan and Bill both do. I think that the fear in there that they experienced was so genuine, and group dynamics and mistrust of stuff. So I think there was great acting. And it also procured fear of the unknown, the dark woods, and getting lost. All things that are just so common these days, especially of the unknown. And the camera work of not showing everything that's going on creates that. And while the found footage subgenre can do that, that's a huge strength of found footage. I like it a lot more than Ryan and Bill do. I should say that. But also, I just think it's so enjoyable, and it's so effectively scary for me personally. I think it's because of just the neighborhood that I grew up around, whereas Ryan and Bill kind of grew up around the woods, and so they got comfortable with it. But I didn't. I grew up in the suburbs, and there weren't big, dense woods around anywhere, and so the aspect of getting lost in the woods stuck with me, and it's still effective every single time I watch it, no matter how many times I've watched it before. And my last thing is, the Blair Witch Project influenced so many found footage films. In fact, you could probably argue it is the direct influence that made the subgenre. And I think it just deserves a lot of credit just for that alone, and being so effective in what it was trying to produce. That's what I think of the Blair Witch Project. Back to you, Ryan.
Now that you've heard Nick's side, why don't you hear Bill's take, which is going to be just the tiniest bit different.
Everyone, it's Bill. It shouldn't come to a big surprise to anyone that I am not the biggest fan of the Blair Witch Project. And it's not really anything about how it's shot or, its story or anything. Because I actually think that that's sort of some of its best components. The fact that it was the first, truly, in there found footage film, really just gonzo in there. And, the fact that you never see the Blair Witch, I think that's to its credit. There's a lot of mystique there. But I think its big problem is that because it was so cutting edge, because it was so new, they didn't really know what they were doing per se. And the fact that they didn't know how to elicit real reactions out of the actors. This is the production staff I'm talking about. They didn't know how to get the true reactions out of the actors. So what ended up kind of happening is that they ended up kind of having to almost trick the actors into performing acting. Go into the woods this way. This is where you'll go today. And then they see the huge stick symbols that everyone knows from Blair Witch, but and then like they'd like sleep for the night and they'd be like throwing stuff out there at their thing, and that's supposed to be like the Blair Witch and everything. And like, um, that's a way to get a real performance out of somebody. I don't think it's the most ethical. I don't think it's the most effective way to get that kind of reaction out of people. But I guess my other thing is that when there is not something happening with the Blair Witch, and it's just the three of them just sitting around talking, or walking through the woods, that is kind of where things break down for me. I don't think that they're the greatest actors in the world. I'm not the greatest actor in the world, but like my thing is, I just don't believe their peril all the time. I sometimes believe it. There's like, of course, like like the very like famous like camera to thing like, oh, I'm so scared, like that whole scene. That's better. That's better. That's definitely better. But just like like why are people throwing maps in the river, and why are people just like just infighting in the thing, and it's like it is a movie, like but maybe because they were being so forced into these reactions, maybe it almost became like real for them, like a kind of like the words fail me, kind of like not a Stockholm syndrome, but just like you almost forget that that what you're doing isn't real. So if that's the way they want to make a movie, fine. I think it stands as a testament to found footage and the found footage horror canon. It's certainly the most important one. It was certainly a big deal at the time. Like very scary and everything, but everybody considered it a really good movie. I do not consider it a very good movie. I struggled to watch it, for more than 30 minutes at a time. I think the best parts are the beginning and the end. I think the middle part is weak, to say the least. Especially times when they aren't interacting directly with the Blair Witch, or indirectly interacting with the Blair Witch. But that is all I have to say. I'm not a Blair Witch fan. And that is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
So there you have it. That's what both of them think. And you've gotten both of their overall scores. So you'll get mine, which I'm going to give this movie a 6.5. And like I said before, I do recommend it. So thank you everyone for watching. And hopefully by the next review, I'm wearing a different shirt and not the Manchester United. Although, go Manchester United. We just won 9-0 the other day, so you can kind of guess when this is being filmed now, but just won 9-0. Hopefully we win on, I think, Saturday. I think we're playing Everton is our next game, so hopefully we beat Everton. You'll know by the time this comes out. Hopefully they do. And be on the lookout for the next review. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I think it might be Total Drama Island. I think I said it before, but unfortunately it had to get pushed back a little bit because stuff with Tina, so be on the lookout for that. But let's flash forward to the next reveal.